Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we've got quite quick conversations here today. The timer will change there, don't worry. But yes, wonderful to have you here. Wallet Wars and Super Apps. As you can see, who will own the financial consumers? So let's get started with Khalil. Now, you very much are at the core of digital payments at the end of the day. So who exactly would you say is best placed to win this race for an all-in-one finance app? Do you think it's traditional banks? Is it fintechs? Is it lifestyle platforms? What do you think?
I'm not sure if it's going to be one app. So to start with, the basic assumption, I doubt that it's going to be one app. That's the first thing I will say. The second thing is, I think the answer is going to be who is the most agile, who can understand the consumer trends and adapt with those changing trends. Because if you look at, and it's going to be different in every country because the demographic changes. If you look at the demographic here in the UAE, it's extremely different than our neighboring country in Saudi, although they're situationed right next to each other, but it's completely different demographic. So the markets are very different, therefore there will be different players and different structures in each market.
Do you think apps are racing to become that super app where it is like a one-stop shop though?
I think they are racing. You can see that here in our market where you can look at Kareem, what started as a ride-hailing. Yeah. Today you can do a fund transfer also as well. You can buy groceries and all of that. And there's others like out of Abu Dhabi like Camara or Bottom, which started as a phone app. Now it's into also transfers and MoneyGram and what have you. So yes, there is a race. Yeah. But the question is the consumer looking for one app? Yeah. That's the question.
True. Because, I mean, I've got hundreds of apps on my phone. It's really annoying because it uses all my data as well.
Which one do you use, though?
Yeah, but there is mainly maybe 5 that I'll flip between. And then probably the rest I don't need, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't think there's one super app that will, you might use this for transfers, this for groceries, this for ride-hailing.
Yeah, true.
Although all of them might have all the similar services.
Lizzie, over to you. Let's bring this to the consumer level. As more consumers, shift very much to mobile-first finance, when your phone becomes your bank, how is that sort of reshaping customer loyalty to traditional banks and then just sort of using things on your phone?
Yes, I operate in a market, India, where we didn't have anything in the middle. We went from brick and mortar directly to mobile. And that means everything has been designed with that context. AI also then adds another complicated layer to that and changes the game and basically makes everything very contextual. So most people in our industry focus on how do we bring finance to the customer at the point of transaction? How do we give them an experience that matches the context of what they need to do, right? So when you're applying for credit in a physical bank, it's disjointed to the point at which you need to use that credit. So how can we bring the journey into the device and then have that go about your day-to-day life with you? That does lead to what you just described, which is an over-dependence on apps, and that will change. That's going to change very dramatically in the next couple of years as we see more conversational interfaces evolve. You'll probably speak to your phone the way you do have a conversation today, and your phone will use agentic mechanisms to access the services you need. That's very hard to replicate in a physical environment. So it's a very exciting time for your mobile.
That really is to see how it's going to evolve. And then I suppose you've got Web3 with all of this as well. It's sort of like in the non-so-distant future. But Guillaume, from this sort of governance and policy standpoint, what about sort of trust? What does trust mean for digital finance in the years to come? And our regulators, what are they focusing on more at the moment? Is it data privacy? Is it transparency? Is it ease of use? Well, what are you focusing on at the moment?
I'm French, so I have a strong French accent, so I'm going to speak slowly. If you look at the pool that you have done, who do you trust? That's an interesting pool. Your GAFAM, your governments, fintech. Depending on where you ask that questions, around the globe, you have different answers. I think about the trust, traditional banks still believe everybody trusts them. But banks are companies. and banks can collapse with your bank account in it. And what we have in the global economy nowadays is a pairing of AI and all this stuff. And we have the internet money was coming. Money can be programmed. So right now, this internet money is dominated by US dollar stablecoin, USDC, USDT, and others, which is no more nor less than US debt. It is T-bill, who's tokenized, and you buy T-bills. So you buy US debt. Perfect. So do you trust US debt? Do you trust your bank? Do you trust a fintech? So I think the question needs to be asked in another way. Who do you trust more? And I think, which is clear for every citizen on earth, they trust, first of all, their own governments. The guys they have elected. And where they can say, I trust him because I know him. It's the guy I see on TV, it's the guy I see on the internet. He represents me. He's not a guy, he's in another country who decide. And so at ADI Foundation, ADI, it's a blockchain initiative from the Ceres Group, the digital arm of EHC. For the UAE, we create a digital dirham stablecoin, and we're going to create as many stablecoin as countries who are going to join us. In many countries, we have 28 countries today who is part of our initiative, and on a blockchain where every countries can monitor every transaction, can control, than Pablo Escobar, for example, cannot go through. Okay, and this is decided at the local level, and not at a guy in New York or anywhere else. And so, to answer your question, who trusts more? Yeah, depends on the country, depends on the perspective.
Depends on who it is and which country. Yeah, really interesting. And I suppose that trust element also filters down to just that one-on-one level of recommendations at the end of the day as well, right? If I have a friend or anything like that I trust, I mean, it starts from that level at the end of the day as well. Khalil, with trust and consumer expectations, evolving rapidly, do you believe that banks and fintechs are going to be able to collaborate and build unified platforms? Is that sort of happening already, though?
Yeah, I think so. I think fintechs are more agile. They're faster to understand the market and adopt and move. But eventually, all fintechs need a bank behind them. Therefore, they can definitely the collaboration is quite important. And if you probably ask, in my opinion, if you probably ask most of the fintech founders, what is your end game? It's probably being acquired by a bank is one of the top answers. So I think and the banks are understanding now that they're not fast enough. They don't understand the consumer as much as a fintech. So they started investing in fintechs, setting up fintechs, and even taking out and spinning off their fintech departments or fintech products into its own separate companies that are subsidiary. And we've seen this in the market already.
Because that's what I was going to ask. Are basically banks developing more of a sort of in-house fintech solution to sort of help beat the competition, or is it easier just to buy one?
It's easier to buy one that works very well, and at the same time it's easier to spin it off and get more investment into it and have more of your own decision within that new company rather than having the heavy bank bureaucracy because you cannot move as a bank as fast as the market moves. Yeah.
Interesting. I wanted to very quickly go back to Guillaume with, very quickly, just in terms of the emerging regulation and the open banking rules at the moment, and whether sort of finance apps remain sort of as local solutions or they're going to scale into global platforms. What is the sort of regulation around all of this, and how will they sort of influence finance apps?
So regulations has always been I'm a banker since long time, and before that I was head of digital for the largest banking group of Europe. So banking regulations is always a way for banking industry to do a step forward, okay? Because this market is very regulated, and that's normal, okay? Because we're touching about money, and money is important. And so every time that there is an open door, the startups goes in and hope one day to be bought by banks and other things like that. But so open banking, yeah, I think it's behind us now. I think open banking is done, okay? We have seen with companies like Stripe, like your companies and others, we've seen tons of companies who exist nowadays in open banking industry. Now the revolution is more on infrastructure, is money, tokenized assets, blockchain and everything. We are at the core. In the 80s, most of the industry was developed in COBOL. And the banking industries at 99% is still in COBOL. At 99.9, maybe. Maybe I forget a 9. This is why when you send money from point A to point B, you have the settlement at the night, during the night. It's not real time. This is why usually you have the impressions that you receive immediately the money, but it's fake. Behind the scene, the bank we call it in the bank industry, IOU. I owe you money, and at the night, we do the settlement. So this is why there's a lot of things which is not done. So what's the way to modernize it? Is it to rewrite with Java or .NET or something? But that's already existing technology. It's not the future industry. What's the future industry? It's blockchain. Why? Because you can control, you can put a smart contract on it, you can check, verify, and you don't need to trust the guy. About the trust questions that you ask, who do you trust the most? Is it your bank? Do I trust my bank? That's an interesting question. Honestly, I trust my bank? Yeah. If it's my bank, I know it since 20 years, but if there's a mad guy at the top, we never know.
Yeah, that's the thing. You do never know, but yeah, I mean, as long as it's a sort of steady relationship for however long it lasts, then I suppose, yeah, you've just got to trust that relationship at the end of the day as well. But Lizzie, let's talk about sort of the features and behaviors that you think that are ultimately going to very much define which type of super app is going to win this consumer loyalty race. What do you think are the features and behaviors within all of that?
I think actually it's what we were talking about earlier. It's very, very personalized. It's going to depend heavily on the jurisdiction, on demographics, on age group, income level. In India, we have one of the most complicated populations you can possibly imagine. It's, we're catering to some of the wealthiest people in the world, and then people that don't have even basic financial literacy, which is why it's almost impossible to imagine one super app being able to, customize to that level. So I think what we're going to see is a very complicated space. We will see from the large global players to the domestic specialists. But even within that, we're going to have to see a completely different level of personalization emerge in financial products. And actually, that's because of the legacy infrastructure that we have today. We haven't been able to take that to the max. I don't know about you, but my bank still calls me sir, madam, right? They don't even know which gender I am. And that's because we don't have infrastructure today that can be as responsive as we would expect in a normal consumer product. So I think the first step will be just a deeper understanding of who am I as a user every time I touch a financial interface. And then beyond that, the predictive ability of what do I want? What do I normally do at this place, at this time? Has anyone ever noticed on Uber how it predicts the journey that you're about to take? Well, why can't a payments app predict the same and give me that same feeling of personalization? So I think a lot of what we're seeing in certainly conversational AI is about giving people that feeling of this app knows me. And we love that. We are human at the end of the day. And we love the idea of this not being a black box, that there is this human element. And so, yeah, very excited to see that personalization and AI conversation emerge in financial products.
Yeah, because there's a still element of calling up your bank and you get an automated service. And I'm furious when I get it. I just want to speak to a person that will sort me out immediately, you know?
Yeah.
So it's trying to balance all of that as well.
But a bad person is actually worse than a
That's
good
true.
bot these days. You will see that
True.
soon, trust me.
Any other further comments? Did you want to sort of add anything to that at all?
No, I think we touched upon everything, and I think it's
Yeah.
pretty comprehensive.
Final question, though. Who will win? Who will own the financial consumer? Very sort of last takeaway. Who will own the financial consumer, do you think?
I think the entity that has the best user experience, the most personalized, and understands how to pivot and adapt.
Amazing. What do you think?
Nobody will own anybody, but consumers will choose to work with platforms that excel in collaboration, in my opinion.
Interesting. Guillaume?
Same, and I will take an example for that. I will take an Indian example, UIP, the new Indian UPI, yeah. UPI every time I miss. UPI, the new Indian system, it's a magic. It works as a charm. It's, I think, 20 billion people use it per month.
Wow.
It's incredible. Oh yeah, number of transactions, yeah. It's incredible. It's huge. And this is a really change of infrastructure. And so nobody's going to own it. There's going to be also at the government layer, okay, the transactions, because UPI, like digital dirham, it's something owned by governments. And then people will build on top of that applications, and with certainly banks, and that's good, will package that and serve that to the people.
Incredible. Sadly, we have run out of time. Another brilliant conversation. We cannot thank you enough for being with us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, yes, grab your microphone. Thank you. Let's find out, shall we? The poll answers. Let's take a look. Do we have our answers up here on the screen? Who would you trust most with your money or financial data? Your bank. It's 71%. There you go. A fintech or payment startup, 18%. A global tech company, 11%.